Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about my VBC Lightning 12M. I don't know if I could really call it a 12M anymore because it's gone through several changes, but I'll get to that in a minute. Um, First off, I just want to talk about the central damper. I went ahead and I used a 238 CST in the central damper. Why did I run such a thin oil? Well, after speaking with Naoya Kitagawa, who's the Yokomo mechanic, he really suggested running a lighter shock oil with these smaller dampers because it allows the car to, handle a lot more consistently going in and out of the corners. And I didn't really go into much detail about, exactly why. Obviously, a lot will be lost in translation, but I decided to go ahead and give it a try, and I was really impressed. It was probably the best handling 112 scale I've had so far with when it comes to the central dampener. Usually, a lot of the guys go to a thicker, heavier weight in the central damper, and that works. But I found that this car worked perfectly with a really light shock oil and a really soft spring, the softest spring by VBC. And you ideally want to go with soft springs on the front and the side of your car, and also go with like maybe a 10K in your side tubes. Anyway, so as I just mentioned earlier, I can't really call this a VBC Lightning 12M because I decided to do something a little bit different. Now, what you see here is it's it's a Lightning rear pod, but there's a bit of a twist to it. It has the same bulkheads, it has the same cross brace, but the lower graphite pod plate here is actually from a Lightning FX. Yes, from an F1. I had issues today with the 12M rear pod setup. I just found that something was off. Something was tweaked. I just wasn't comfortable with the way it took any impacts or anything like that. It's just something that I've always been having issues with. So that said, I thought, you know what? I don't want to waste my practice session here at Yatabe Arena. I might as well go ahead, do some fun testing, see what happens. So I had these, Lightning 12 aluminum bulkheads for the left and right cross brace. Luckily, the top deck works perfectly fine, but I was out of luck for a lower brace pod plate, and so I thought, well, I only have this Lightning FX pod plate. The holes, the way that they're set up, are aligned perfectly for a rear pod plate, except the links, the link positions here. Now, you can probably see in a couple seconds here. Maybe not. Now, the links are actually a little bit wider than the standard 112 scale pod plate. So this is a Lightning FX pod plate. The FXM has like some extra holes here. Anyway, so what we got going on here is that the actual links are a little bit spaced outward here. Let's see if I can get a better visual for you here. If you can see here, they're on a slight angle. Not by much, but if you do a similar setup, you'll see there's quite an angle. But anyway, I decided to go with this. I thought, you know what? Hey, I've never tried having the side links on an angle. I know the guys here in Japan, they put spacers sometimes underneath their links in order for the car to generate rear steer. That's basically what this does, is it generates rear steer. So as the pivot occurs, depending on what direction it goes, the actual rear pod will kind of turn in a little bit, so it gives you rear steer. Anyway, let me just put this down. I thought, you know what, might as well give it a try, see what happens. I had to do a few other modifications here and there to get it to work. I can only use the outer side spring position because there's a hole here that won't allow the actual spring to make contact with the lower plate. I also had to raise up this carbon fiber brace and also this section here. I'm a little hesitant with continuing on with this setup. I need to figure something out in order to continue on with it because I was absolutely thoroughly impressed with how the car handled. Like with the, I think with the combination with the thin dampening oil, soft springs, and this rear pod with the rear steer, the car was just on rails. Like I was carving the corners with confidence. I was able to go through, chicanes without any issues whatsoever, and I was so impressed with how the car was handling with this setup. As bizarre as it is, like there's so many different parts going on here. I was so impressed with how the car was handling, and if you do have some of these parts kicking around, give it a try. I was really, really, really astounded at how well it handled. I was worried that it would be too twitchy, wasn't drivable, but I was blown away. Definitely worth trying if you get the chance. If you want to try the rear steer and you just have the 12M setup, from what I understand, you can put some shims underneath the front links here. So just the front position, just put like a millimeter shim underneath, and that will generate some rear steer. And yeah, it really made the car drive nicely. And I think it's perfect for stock racing. I don't know about modified, but stock racing, definitely worth a try. All right, so this is my current setup. This is what I got going. It's working out really nicely. I couldn't be more happier with it so far. And test things. Even though it might go against the design of the car, whatever car that you may have, just try it. See what happens. You'd be surprised what might come about from it. I was really surprised with how I got this setup going on here. So yeah, give it a try. All right, bye bye.